Welcome to the Let It Bleed podcast, a place where you can hear the liquor-fueled ramblings of two narcissistic wizards who conjure the essence of inspirational people every week and bring it straight to you.
Just how do you plan on doing that? Magic. Motherfucker.
And now for the wizards themselves, David Amaya and Phil Arroyo.
Bada bing, bada boom, as they say in the business.
In what business exactly do they say that?
The business of better watch your mouth, but while you're talking to me, sort of business.
Oh,
that business.
That kind of business.
While
like
I crack open my beer,
shoe manufacturer kind of business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that kind of business. You know what I'm saying? The kind of business I'm in sales. I do business. I was just doing like a Tony Soprano thing. I was just watching Tony Soprano, but it wasn't Tony Soprano at all.
That will
was
rub
me.
off on you.
Yeah, that was, this is what happens when you get home and your room's actually clean and, it's just like one of those nights where, like, I actually have a night to just kick my feet up, crack open a beer. I don't ever, like, drink here at home either. Like, I just, like, felt like this might be nice. I'm about to do this podcast, crack open this beer, watch some television, catch up on some shows, even though I've been saying how much like TV I've been watching lately has kind of been it's been sick. Even when I'm busy as fuck, there's always like these shows.
There's always time for that. Like there is time for that shit too. Especially they're cultural touch points, I call it. Like you gotta watch the finale last weekend or something like that because everybody else was. You're not gonna avoid that anyway, so you make time.
Right. It's
you
just,
don't need to be,
I mean,
like, you're still busy if you found an hour of the day to fucking, kick it and watch something.
Yeah, I just wish, not that I wish, because, I enjoy the shows, obviously, I love it, but it's just, the thing I'm talking about mostly is, like, the difference between, now and from when we were kids, even from, like, the beginning of television. It's just crazy how much more content we have, and just like on every format too, not just like on television, but just how many shows we watch compared to what we used to.
They're making more than we'll ever be able to catch up. They're making it faster than we can watch it at this point.
Right, and so it's just kind of crazy because like I'm so busy, but yet, as I said, I always find this time to like watch these things while I'm at work or wherever. Like I just always end up watching all of these shows. But,
you know what? You're double dipping right there, and that is a good way to go about it.
Like
take
right
those
now,
slow hours, fucking catch up with some shit.
I'm talking to you, and the show Animal Kingdom is playing on the TV, even though I don't know what it's saying. But it's like you still feel like you're kind of watching it. I don't know. A lot of people probably do that too. So in that sense too, like it's a different cinematic experience. I'm not like always watching every single show exactly. Like just sitting down and watching the whole thing, so I'm probably missing out on some great stuff for things. So my opinions, I don't know, for certain shows.
I don't know. I think you're not the only one, man. I think we're all suffering from that, attention deficit, screen induced whatever.
That sounds
was a snappy name,
like a highly medical term right there that you just came up with.
Oh
I
yeah,
love it.
Like the irresistible fucking urge to like. You're watching something, and if it's just okay, or if it's like not great and just in capturing, or you're not high enough yet, like just to grab your phone and just start like looking at shit. It's it is fucking it's involuntary at this point.
Right. Well, since we've been doing this already every week recently, or for a while in the show, like what have you been on lately?
Well, let's see. We okay. Oh, you know what? I came prepared for this one too. Have you caught Puka yet? It's on Hulu.
Hookah, like the smoking hookah?
No, Puka, like those douchey shells that like people wore in like the early 2000s.
And still in Idaho.
Oh, that's where they are time wise.
Or I meant Iowa. Sorry. Not Idaho. Idaho, you guys are cool. Iowa, you guys are definitely, yeah, one's more flat and boring with nothing. Idaho's got some pretty sick mountain shit, so they're doing some
angry fucking tweets from some crows. Like, what'd you say?
What you say, motherfucker?
How dare you?
How you dare you
I
say
am
that about
proud. Oh man.
fucking corn people out in Iowa.
Yeah, no, shout
Anyway,
out to the Huskers. They're good people. But
Yeah.
Puka. It's this horror movie that we found on Netflix. It was just super random.
foreign one?
No, it's a the premise is that it's like a Furby kind of thing. And they're trying to sell these toys, and this guy, gets the job to be the official guy who's in the big costume. So it's kind of like a Barney kind of thing, And he's trying to sell the Furby toys, but then the toys are like they tickle his belly, whatever, and you never know what he's gonna say. It could be nice, it could be naughty, and then it just like he becomes the guy, and then it just gets fucked up from there. And it's way over the top. It's one of those that like is funny but isn't like, well, it's like there's not a lot of like jokes, but like it is funny, like the way they do some shit. But then it's also just good. It's really well done. I was kind of surprised. Wasn't sure like what to expect. I was just like, this looks insane. Let's get high and watch this shit. I was like, oh, am I tripping or was that actually really good? And so, yeah, that one was
All right.
Puka.
All right. I'll have to check that one out. Definitely on. Which one's it on?
That was Hulu.
Okay, Puka. I'll have to check that one out. Well, we ended up coming to a close with one of like the longer standing shows. They're one of the most popular shows of all time, I'd have to say.
Oh, definitely.
Game of Thrones. It's done.
It's done.
And
man. It is done.
We've shown our disdain for several of the episodes in the season already, but what did you think about the final episode?
Well, I thought it was fine. I didn't have as many problems with it. There's a lot of stuff that I had very low expectations going into it. And it's like, okay, if I could just shut my mind off a little bit. It just like, I just lowered my expectations down to what it would be for like an okay show that's been on for a while,
Right.
Like, because that was just really... It was frustrating, how many like, okay, it's done now, how many fucking threads just got left there? It's like they hadn't seen the show before they decided to write it,
Dude, I wanted to share these memes that I saw with you later today, because it really is kind of like that. Like, it's kind of like they're making fun of the dude, one of the writer that's always at the end of the show explaining everything, and he's like, yeah, we kind of forgot why we killed John and brought him back in the first place. Like, we kind of forgot about this and, like, why Arya did all the training and everything. And I actually had even gotten into, like these little weird arguments with some people from posting, about how frustrated I was with it. And they were, like, trying to argue that, there's all these great reasons for it. And I'm like, you guys are really having to reach, though, because there's all of these things that just got left out, that
you're gonna tell me
that
that Bran had the best story out of everybody, and that's why he should be king.
That was kind of a bummer.
Better than the girl who learned how to fucking shapeshift and then assassinated a zombie king and saved the world. No, you're right. Bran had the best story, and also those like the children of the earth or whatever never came back into play. Like, all of that just seems like such a waste of time. That's
what I'm saying. Even like the symbol that was created, that like ominous like spiral symbol that was like, when they found like the bodies in where was it that the dead left the bodies? Yeah, like they were just like all spiraled out and shit. I think the first episode.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, what does all that even mean? Yeah.
And apparently the answer was absolutely fucking nothing.
Right. I don't know. So all the people out there making fun of us for complaining on Facebook, not us specifically, but people who were upset. But it's like, dude, we invested.
Did they not have the like ability to process like whether a show's good or not? Like, I don't understand. Like,
no, like I said, there were people
the whole thing and then say like you can tell where it's a completely different show. Right.
And that's what my point was. And so, I agree with you about the final episode too. Like I was fine with it. Like it was what it was, and I was okay with it ending that way because I didn't have as high expectations at that point, for it to go any other way. It was like, okay, well, based on the way that the previous episodes went, this actually, I mean, they did the best that they could. Aside from, making Bran the king, it was just kind of like, oh, okay, well, whatever. My thing was, why couldn't they make Jon? Why couldn't Jon just be like, yo, I'm the rightful heir to the throne, any which way, and just like taking the throne at that point, even after killing her.
I think ideally the situation is that they wanted to, instead of it being a hereditary lineage thing, for it to become let's just decide amongst ourselves, as we're like thinking that was a healthier, more sustainable way in the future to like keep that shit going. I think that was their intention. There are so many fucking things wrong with that, but at least I get that part of it. It just seems kind of weird to me that like Bran was also super into the idea. Like,
right, because you would have thought that he wasn't down.
Wait, what? This whole time you haven't been doing shit?
So this whole time you were
everybody's been fucking around over this, and you knew it was going to be you, and so that's why you just fucking kicked it there, just chilling in your lazy boy, like,
right,
having other people just die for you right there, like, dude, what the fuck,
Joffrey, man? Yeah, Joffrey Jr. right there.
Yeah, honestly, it doesn't bode well. Plus, do they know that he's like immortal? Like he lives for thousands of years and becomes a tree at some point? Do the show writers know that he's immortal and lives for thousands of years and becomes a tree at some point? Because I'm pretty sure they don't.
I didn't think about that. I didn't even really like think about that at all. That's pretty funny.
And somebody else brought it up. I'm like, oh shit, like it does not bode well. Like it does not instill confidence that his first act was blatant nepotism, and Sansa being like, you know what, I want to secede from the Union, and him going like, cool, done, granted, next. It's like, yo, we just gave you power, and also she just put you on blast and just said in front of everybody like, oh, what are we gonna do? His dick don't work, like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you serious right now? Why would you bring that up in front of everybody?
Dude, straight up, Sansa was a chismosa, dude. No, she was a straight chismosa.
How does she know that? Did they have a conversation about that?
I mean,
did he have to explain it? Did she ask at some point? Like, they've barely seen each other since that happened. When does the can you still get it up conversation go between a sister and a brother? I'm not gonna okay, I guess I just talked myself into the own resolution for that, because apparently they're very they're a lot more relaxed with that kind of stuff in Westeros. But Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
That is just such like unsatisfying endings for, Cersei and Jaime, like all this shit. Like it was just so inconsequential, Right. But I did like the, Drogon. Somebody said Drogon had like the most character development, like in, of the show. It was like the most well-rounded character, and I am kind of thinking they're right.
Yeah, it's pretty true, dude. He was like, you understood what he was saying without him having to say anything. He's just like, when John's walking up, he's like, yo, what's going on, bro? And he's like, I'm here to see Dany, and he's like, all right, fool, I'll let you go, but just you. And then as soon as like freaking he stabs her, he's just like, oh motherfucker, why'd you do that? He's like, why'd you do that? He's flying around. He's like, I can't believe this fool just did this. What did you do that? He's just going mad.
Fuck your chair.
Yeah. He's like, all right. He's like, okay, you gonna take her? All right, then fuck this shit. You guys are stupid. Then he takes her out of there, and then I legitimately thought that, at that point it was going to be like she decided to leave. I don't know, something like Jon was going to just be king. That's what I was thinking. And no, apparently not. It's Bran the Broken. Fucking Tyrion. It's like, even when he was saying I was just like, bro, I know that you were reading off a script, but you showed that you were just like, I hate this decision right here from them.
Also, Tyrion's been like locked up for 6 weeks, and then they drag him out to say, like, hey, what do you want to do with this guy? We were going to kill him, but the person who ordered that's kind of dead, so we're not really sure what to do now. And then they just let him decide how the rest of, like the political, the socio-political, operations of Westeros are going to continue from then on. It's like, why does he get a say? And why does... why is everybody all hung up listening to Grey Worm too? It's like they also don't really have to. Like, I don't know, man. What I do appreciate though is that I remember at some point, like they did acknowledge that she's been saying, oh, the throne was forged from the swords of 1,000 fallen enemies in Dragonfire, and then she came up and she's like, oh, okay, I always thought it'd be bigger. This is like, maybe 120 swords at most. And I was like, okay, thank you. You've been saying that the whole goddamn show. And I'm like, yeah, I could probably make a chair to like 8 swords, tops. They don't even have to be that big. And so it's a pretty regular sized chair. So anyways, shit, what else just fucking bugged me about that shit? Because now I'm just kind of I'm talking myself into hating it again as we're going. Because goddamn, man, like I did appreciate. I was a little bit scared when Sam started talking, and he started pitching democracy, and I was like, oh
right.
No, oh god, that's so stupid. Is it gonna? And then they all laughed.
Then they clowned on him. Yeah, cool. Yeah. You thought that it was gonna turn into like, okay, yeah, let's decide on being a democracy, and then you'd be like, wait, let's fast forward to today's time. This is all fucked up. But apparently, what was I was reading something like I don't know if it was Game of Thrones, or it might have even been something different, but it was like the year 3000 is when like they had it like set in the story. And so it's like, wait, so is this what happens in the future? We all like get into this like crazy like fantasy fucking land? I don't know.
That sounds incredibly stupid.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I also really hope that somebody entertains my idea of Arya sailing west of Westeros only to discover Middle Earth, and then like coming across the hobbits and like Gandalf and the hobbits, and then they like unlock a portal into the multiverse, and then they kick it with Jake and Finn from Adventure Time, and they go on all these adventures, and they like fuck with Harry Potter. Like they totally troll Harry Potter. They just like fuck with them every chance that they get. Like they'll just go into like fucking Hogwarts and just like do some fucking like high school senior pranks and shit.
So it's like a Bill and Ted's kind of situation.
Yeah, well, like Adventure Time and Bill and Ted or Rick and Morty, any one of those things where it's just like, definitely it could be an interesting like Adult Swim fucking thing,
Oh man,
definitely fun.
You are not allowed to write the next Avengers. I'll tell you that much.
There's gonna be a next Avengers?
Well, I mean, yeah, they're gonna keep making those movies, and there will probably still be Avengers movies, just different people. But
oh really? I thought it was all done.
Yeah, well, I mean, spoiler alert, like they'll probably make another Captain America movie, but with Sam as Captain America,
right?
Which is how it is in the comics and shit like that.
Speaking of movies, now a movie I just saw yesterday for the first time. Didn't even know that this I must have seen the title as I was scrolling through like stuff on Netflix or Amazon or whatever so many times, and just never thought to watch it. It just seemed kind of like from the cover like a cheesy like action type of movie, but it has the actor, and I'm terrible with names, the American Captain America.
What is it?
What's his name? Captain America, the one that just retired.
Oh, oh God, one of the Chris's. Not Hemsworth, not Pratt. Jesus Christ, I'm trying to blank now too. What have you done to me?
See, this is what weed does to you over time.
Thank you, Evans.
So this dude, it was a Snowpiercer. Have you seen that?
Oh God, yeah, I've seen that.
You're like, I hate that. You hate, dude.
Hated that movie with a capital H.
It is a good movie if you
No, it's
understand it
not.
as an allegory instead of a fucking actual movie. Like just a simple, like it's totally Asian, like it's like Old Boy meets, like it's highly, you know, unbelievable, and it's definitely not like it's definitely not a believable story, but it's absolutely like an allegory in the style of like a Japanese or like an old like Asian tale.
Well, yeah,
And
like
it's
I know that's Bak Chi Moon, I think is the director's name is. That's kind of his thing, his style and shit like that. And I've just never really been into it. It just does not resonate with me. It's always like just a bunch of like really over the top shit that just to me doesn't add up to much. You know, he can get some pretty
r-
crazy performances out of people, which is always fun to see. Like Tilda Swinton and Addison Pill, I think were really good in that. Just because they were just so just like what the fuck like. What are they
right.
doing?
To me, it's
fascinating,
supposed to be
but-
highly exaggerated, like a comic book, but like a foreign comic book where like it's surreal. You know, it's not supposed to be like an exact representation. It's definitely made for eye candy, but also you can trip out on the concepts that like are being like presented. Like, okay, what, you know, it's basically the system, and you know, it's kind of like also an allegory for just like people's lives, like, you know, being at the bottom and then finally making your way to the top, and then having to decide, you know, where you want to go from there. Like, what are you going to do? And I think the outcome or the decision that he makes obviously is the honorable one, and I think that message is a good message to pass on, because what it represented was like, okay, well, this to them on this train. And spoiler alert for this movie that was made in 2013. To any of y'all who haven't seen it, you can just stop listening now
It's
if you want to
fine.
watch it. But yeah. Anyways, this guy, you know, so it takes place on this train that's built to carry out the last of humanity as the Earth freezes over. So the Earth is frozen. The only way that humanity can survive is on this moving train that goes around the whole world once a year. It just revolves around the world once a year, and the engine is supposedly unstoppable because the guy who created it is just maintaining it this whole time, and so all of humanity is on the train. Already I get it, stupid, because yeah, it's dumb for that reason, but you know, just the way that they move up through, and their whole lives they're on this train, and they believe, you know, they've never even been to this other side, and like they believe that this is it, like this is the final like thing, nobody can go outside ever again. And they finally get up to the front through all of this fucking struggle, realize all of this shit that, you know, is not true compared to what they were told them their whole fucking lives. So they've had to discover all of this stuff, and then come to this realization that even after all of that, you have to decide like where you want to go. Do you want to, you know, give into like kind of like Avengers, like do you want to, like, you know, still fight against this and potentially lose everything for a change for something completely different, or do you want to, you know, just give in and have the higher position over all of these people, as you know it's been for in our society, in our generation, and you know, our whole lives, and as far as we know with civilization. So it represented the fact that they were able to jump out and go and finally live out there because the sun was going, or you know, the sun was getting warm enough for people to actually survive. Like I feel like it's kind of like this allegory for us coming out of this fucking desperate age into something new. You know, a sign of hope.
Well, that's like a lot of my issue was with the movie was that I feel like it just didn't respect the audience enough to like employ any kind of subtlety. You know, they were just like really like beating you with over the head with these concepts and going like, oh, like, you know, aren't we cool? Aren't we edgy? And like that's just kind of his style. And when it's done with just such as like played up performances, it just like that kind of shit just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And I know I am in the because I think it's a well-reviewed. I think people mostly like it. You know, it's a well-reviewed movie. I just personally did not.
Well, I mean, I don't know. For someone who likes comic books and stuff, I would have thought that you might have liked it a little more. But
well, maybe it's one of those things where I'd have to see it again, like now, because I saw it a long time ago. You know, and I mean, I know there's been things where. Sometimes you just see shit and you're hungry or something like that. You know, you're in a bad mood and that just like seeps into it. It just like infects like the memories that you have of that shit.
You're a terrible person for having that opinion about that movie.
Yeah, well, no, I'm pretty solid on that one. Just like nobody's been able to convince me that Rogue One is good either. Still,
What?
so
You're crazy. You're absolutely batshit crazy.
Yeah.
That
But
Rogue
people
One
said
the
I was
best
crazy
one.
about Game of Thrones too for the last few seasons, and now I'm like, thank you. Everybody's starting to realize that this show is not good.
No, I mean, I still thought it was good. I still thought it held up just until, for sure, the very last season. I still had hope even after the first episode of this year. Even though there were going to be certain things that were just going to be left out. I still had some hope for it.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
well, what was another one that I was going to ask you? Something that I was really curious to know if you had ever seen it before was American Horror Story, the last season.
No, I gave up on American Horror Story right around, I think it was after Freak Show.
Right. Yeah.
Because
So that was where I stopped
they
too.
had gotten me like Lucy with the football every time. Where like the first 6 episodes or something like that of every season were
great.
like really good, and like they had
And
like a
then,
nice
yeah.
narrative arc, and then it all kind of wrapped up, and then they make like 4 or 5 more episodes, and it's like, what the
Yeah.
fuck are you people doing? And
Right. Yeah, it's all over the place with their writing, and they get meta with it and too, and they add all this extra shit. It's kind of like a combination of like a scary like show or like an eerie like kind of show with Glee. It's they kind of like add this like element to it that's like what
Oh,
the fuck is like.
do they keep making like music in it?
So this
like-
episode, no, they didn't do that. So I mean, the Freak Show one, I think was the last one that they did that. I think that was
Okay.
the one where they had like, or,
At
or
least,
maybe
at least it kind of fit within the story. If they were going to
Right.
insist on doing Nirvana covers in 1950, whatever, like
so far in this last season they have not done that, and I started watching the first couple episodes of The Hotel. I couldn't get into it. This last one I only got into it because somebody was saying that it was like my friend was just talking to me about it at work the other day, and it was about a cult, this cult that forms, and like it starts off at the election night, the night that Trump is elected, and it goes into all of this crazy shit, and it's pretty intense and interesting. And as soon as I started watching it, I'm like, this is kind of fucking stupid. Like the way that they're portraying, even both sides was just like super far fetched. But I gave it a chance, and there's actually some really like fucking. It's like the only episode or the only season that doesn't even really go into like the supernatural powers or anything like that, or the supernatural side to the scary things. It's like more just like real. Not. I definitely wouldn't say realistic, but it has to do. It kind of like takes from like all of these different stories of cults and cult leaders, and you kind of take that and you create this leader that's this really really charismatic figure for the alt-right, and he like brings in these people into this like cult thing. I think you may or might not enjoy it. I don't know.
wait, so it's
Considering-
like American MAGA story or something?
So it kind of, yeah, they definitely bring that into it. Like they definitely like portray what you would expect out of like the alt-right, kind of like the rise of white nationalism. It's kind of like that mixed
You're
with
gonna
like
make me
fight.
watch this shit again, aren't you? You're making it
I
sound
would check
good.
it out just to see. I haven't, and trust me, like I'm still like 4 episodes away from being finished. It's already changed so much and gone like almost in a big loop, but I'm still holding out to see how it goes. I do think the acting's great. I think the main guy that's all, like in every single one, I don't forget his name. He does a great job because they go off and they'll tell like the stories. You know how like go back in history and like they'll tell this like story even though if it's not factual or not. If it fits, they'll use it to fit whatever story that they're on. Like he was telling a story about the chick that like shot Andy Warhol, and like they portray that, and he plays also Andy Warhol, and he kills it. And he also plays Jim Jones from the Kool-Aid guy,
the Kool-Aid
and he
guy.
kills it. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he plays the Kool-Aid guy, and he kills it.
mass
Absolutely
suicide.
kills it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a trip. Like I don't know.
Damn.
It might be worth
No,
watching.
yeah, that's pretty compelling, honestly, man.
Like they definitely go in there and really point out the evils of like Trump and Trump supporters, but they also call out certain things to just about everything as well.
Both sides. Yeah.
Well, check it
Yeah.
out.
No, I
Check it
will.
out.
That actually sounds
I
interesting.
think-
God damn it.
Yeah.
What's it called? What's the after the colon?
Cult. It's Cult.
Cult? Okay. Cool.
I'm pretty sure it's just Cult.
I will give it a shot.
Right on.
Man, and rounding it out. Oh shit. Okay. Did you catch the Barry season finale? Just speaking of jumping the shark and Henry Winkler.
I did.
Oh man.
What do you think about, like, I don't know. Am I being a hater? Because so many people are like, oh, it's such a great show. And I think it's a good show. I'm entertained by it. Like, if on an entertainment scale, it's like 8 out of 10 for me. 8 or 9 out of 10. You know, I enjoy it. But, like, the storyline, just how it hops around and how, like, he hasn't even been, like, how he's gotten away with so much in that, like, enclosed area for so long. It just doesn't really, you know, it kind of just irks me a little bit.
Well, first of all, don't be a hater. Be a Bill hater, okay? And you show that man some goddamn respect.
I do. I think his acting is amazing, and so is the acting of just a lot of other people on there. But
well, yeah, there's definitely a certain amount of suspension of disbelief. I mean, they had like a feral zombie child who like bit off somebody's face this season, so they're not exactly
that
going
was
for
a
magical,
great that
for,
was
like,
a great episode,
realism.
by the way.
But
see, I love that.
But
it's just,
you know,
it just makes it a little harder to like really take the serious scenes serious, the
I
dark
agree.
scenes serious.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I see what
That's
you're
what I'm
saying
trying
there.
to say.
But I think to me personally, I think they've woven that in just really well. You know, especially the way shit just like ramps up and goes crazy, and then you realize how much you know they've kind of had all of these things in play, and I don't know. I just think it's a great piece of writing, and you know, Bill Hader actually surprises me with how you know how much chops he's got. You know, kind of that whole cast, I think, just does a really good job, man. Like,
And I
you know,
also was blown away. I didn't know the whole story with NoHo Hank, and again, don't know his name. The guy that plays NoHo Hank.
Andrew Carrigan.
Didn't know. Yes, Andrew Carrigan. I did not know that. Like, I didn't know who he was before that. I've never watched Gotham. I've never seen any of the like shows that he's or anything that he was in, and like the whole.
Dude, we
his whole
Googled
story
it.
with-
Yeah, we Googled it, and
and
I
you've
didn't
seen it with
realize
hair?
that his alopecia didn't kick in until he was like 30 or something like that. And so we looked this
Well,
guy up, and we're looking at pictures from even like 2012. We're just like, what the fuck?
He looks so
That
different,
is
doesn't he?
crazy.
It's crazy what people's eyebrows and hair do to their appearance.
And
It's
actually,
insane. Like what?
It's a pretty cool story too. I think it was actually he went on like a late night or something like that, like a talk show to promote Barry, and then he
I
talked
saw
about it a
that,
little
yeah.
bit. I'm just like, oh shit, he wasn't born like you know, with alopecia, just having no hair anywhere on his body.
No, well,
And
he
it was
apparently had it,
fairly
and
recent.
he had patches throughout his life, and he had most of his life, but he was able to apparently cover them
Mhm.
because the hair was long enough and the holes were not that big.
Yeah.
And they showed pictures because I think I saw I did see the same thing that you were talking about, the interview, and I like looked further into it and I saw pictures. If you just Google them, you know, of the how it got to that, and he was like, you know what, this is what I'm gonna go for. This is my new look. This is what I'm gonna do. And I was just like, whoa, okay, because I was trying to think, who is this guy when I'm watching Barry? Like, who is this dude? Like, he sounds and looks so familiar for some reason. Like, I just can't put him on anything, you know. And yeah, the story, it's cool that he's doing that, and that like he's also raising awareness for that. But I mean, what a perfect
So much
like,
fucking
cast.
respect to him.
what a perfect
you know?
cast for that too. Like
He crushes that role. He's so goddamn funny. And then he also like, you know, just take that in and he talks about his like struggle with it, and it's like, oh man, like it looks kind of cool on you, dude. Like, and it just like it fits the thing that you're doing, and I don't know. I got a lot of respect for that, you know. Especially when I fucking heard him and he did not have any kind of accent. He just like talking like a regular dude. I'm just like, okay, like this dude is he's good. He's good, man.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I love anytime people do accents in anything. I love when you can spot that they're not that, like, you could spot their normal accent, and you could hear sometimes when he's talking, it's like, okay, he's trying to do this like Eastern European thing.
Mhm.
And they were asking him on the what was it, Conan, or was it Jimmy Fallon, about it was Fallon, right?
I think I saw him on Seth, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
one
sorry.
of them. I'm sure
So
they
it was
all
like-
ask the
yeah,
same questions.
One of those guys. Anyways, that there's like, is it a real Chechen accent that you're doing? And he's just like, I mean, I don't know. He's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, of course it's a real Chechen accent. What are you talking about? What do you mean?
Oh man, his little like isms that he comes up with too. They just fucking they kill me every time.
Definitely.
Oh man.
So yeah, that's my recap for what I've been on as of late. And
Let me round it out with one show that people should be watching on Sundays, which is incredible, which is The Shy. I don't know if I've talked about it, if you've seen it yet, but that is a great fucking show.
okay, The Shy.
Yeah, it's just it's
Okay.
it's in the South Side, just a regular kind of like just following the life of a bunch of different people in the South Side of Chicago, and it's
Okay.
like not it's just done like it's just well written. Like, the characters are all kind of very realistic and like down to earth, and like the shit that happens like isn't crazy. It's just like telling a very like real and human story. And I just think it's like, yeah, it's hard to explain like all the charm of it, but it's incredibly well done. And
Okay.
I feel like I'd never hear anybody talking about this shit, but The Shy, it's fucking dope.
All right, I'll have to check that out. But I was mistaken. I definitely didn't. I forgot to mention probably one of the gnarliest shows I've ever seen, and it's so great. Chernobyl. I think I might have brought it up last time on HBO.
Oh, I started watching it like as I was going to sleep. Did not like revisit it yet, but I've been hearing good things.
It's pretty fucking gnarly. It's pretty raw, dude. I definitely. I'd say that it's like one of the better shows in a while for sure. Because I mean, you know what's happened already, but you're just like, whoa! I had like no idea. It's actually quite fucking horrifying. So there's that, and then there's one
I did see
show.
the one scene where he like goes in there and just starts like fucking melting when he's like looking into the reactor, like, what should we do? Oh, my face! I'm just like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? Oh god.
Yeah, dude, it gets fucking pretty raw. So there's that one, and then a more lighthearted viewing, something more lighthearted for your viewing pleasure on Netflix. It's like a really short season, but it's kind of like Letterkenny for like Brooklyn, the way that
No.
it's shot and just the characters. Yeah, it's
You're
not
not gonna
like
say Bruno, are you?
do you not like it's Bruno?
Oh fuck!
Dude,
That
it's
show's
so
insane.
funny. It's so funny,
It's
dude.
so dumb.
It's so dumb, but it's so good at the same time. It's like it's like something that just I don't know. I just like enjoyed watching it. He kind of bugs me a little bit, but once you get used to the show and the characters, like the dancing kid, like what the fuck, and, they just like keep coming back into his life, like they're all part of his life. They're like there as a
I
community.
am convinced he paid them to make that show. It's insane that like they clearly just have like one camera that's about as good as the one that I currently own, and then like the one guy just writes, edits, directs, produces, like does all of it, And they all just take place in that little like block, He just goes and films in the bodega, and then they just keep cutting to the dog for reaction shots, and it
Fucking
fucking
props
it kills
to
me every
him.
time. But like,
Props
just
to
like
him, bro.
I'm just like, God damn, this show is not great, but we watched like 5 episodes of it.
I love. I mean, I'm not saying that it's like amazing, but it's definitely something that I think that people, if you have like half a day to watch it, not even half a day, like a couple hours, you could get through them. Like, that's
Yeah,
it.
they're really
And it's
there's
just-
like 8 episodes and they're like 10 minutes or something like that. But I'm like,
yeah,
oh man,
But
that
it's the
shit, I'm like,
character.
how quickly is it gonna get old? Just keep going to the dog for reaction shots, and then I realize, oh shit, we still do that with Frankie and laugh every time.
exactly. I mean, the dog isn't even the most interesting thing either. Like he
Oh,
and
that's
the
what's
dog.
crazy. You can like it doesn't look like a trained dog at all. It just looks like someone's dog who has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. And it has nothing to do with the dog or him. it's like just all the weirdo characters that are in his life, like the guy on the stoop, and the freaking
Stoop
chick
Kid.
that like stalks the chick that stops him for stalks him for Bruno.
They settle all their differences with just stick fights.
Yeah.
Like it's just so fucking weird.
It is kind of like Hey Arnold. It's kind of like a different. It's like Hey Arnold meets Letterkenny or something.
Yeah.
Something.
Jesus, something like that, man. Yeah. So that was, oh man, I'm glad it wasn't just like me and Bree in a fever dream that had seen that. Somebody else had actually understood. It's just my utter confusion from the other night. We were just high as shit, going, "What is this?"
It definitely depends on when you decide to get into it. I think, like, if you're expecting something amazing, and you're probably gonna be let down. But if you're just chilling, then you never know. It's probably pretty
honestly, I like it. I want them to keep doing that. Just keep giving fucking random people just like a $500 budget and saying, "Here, go make something." Like, just do whatever you want. We're not even gonna check in. We won't even watch it ahead of time. Just send it to us and we'll post it. And I respect that attitude, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So, what's going on?
Well, let's move on to our
Other
next
than
segment.
That hurricane.
Huh? Oh, you heard that?
Yeah, I heard that.
That is, well, that was Bray, but she's helping me prep because some shit's about to go down, son. No, it's been a hell of a week, man. We can start with something fun though. I don't know if you caught the House the committee hearing on the Housing and Urban Development's proposed budget shifts from yesterday, which I know is a hot ticket. About as many people saw it as Thrones, but I just didn't want to assume. I know it was really popular. But
no.
Yeah, no, they wheeled out Ben Carson from his nap and had him fucking take to the House floor, and it did not go well. And the exchange everybody's talking about is actually when Rep. Katie Porter from Irvine, so shout out to that, right next door. She was grilling him, and then everybody's like, this guy knows absolutely nothing about what the fuck his job is. And so she asked him, do you know what an REO is? And it's stands for real estate owned. If you're in that business doing housing and real estate, like that's a term, that's a basic 101 term, one that you would think the guy in charge of all of it for the United States would know. She goes, do you know what an REO is? And then Carson goes, an Oreo? And then she's just like, are you shitting me right now?
Wow. Dude, it's like, honestly, this is why you'll like either really get frustrated or at least appreciate Chernobyl, because this is kind of basically what they're showing in that show is this all could have been avoided and should have been avoided, but like these people in the KGB were just like not like their stubbornness and pride and like willingness to keep like anything bad out of the public's ear just totally fucked over like thousands of people.
Yep.
For
we are seeing it play out right now. It's fucking crazy. And so
people that have positions that are not qualified in any way to have these positions, and are the ones that have to make these like final dire decisions.
A dangerous level, like an unprecedented and truly dangerous level, because you can point to a lot of presidencies and see some inadequacies and a lot of incompetent people that were kind of in there, but at least they had like went to college. This is like literally Trump sees people on the TV that he likes and just puts them in there, and they accept the job and they know absolutely nothing. And so I guess they're trying to slash the budget for HUD by 16%. And so they wheeled him in there like, hey, explain yourself. Can you justify any of this? Like, what's going to happen? What are the reports, the impact of what you're going to do? Because you can't just say, 16%, and then not look into it. You have to fucking know. And also to impose rent increases on people on, in subsidized housing by 150%. So So it's like, Jesus Christ. And so,
Dang.
and what's especially frustrating, that whole hearing was actually really bad. People keep talking about the Oreo thing, and then he went on Twitter afterwards and was like, post a picture of him with like a case of Oreos. It's like, oh, blah blah, and it's just like, dude, this isn't funny, man. Like, you're literally trying to kick thousands of people out of their homes, and like that, you're making jokes about how fucking impossibly incompetent you are. And so that really, like, rubbed me the wrong way, and kind of, in many ways kind of showed the incompetence of what they're doing over there, man. But let's see. Okay, here's the exchange that really pissed me off. Was he was talking to Ayanna Pressley, who's one of the new congressmen, kind of the one of those freshman stars, with AOC and everybody. So let's see. Let me read from the Times here. In another memorable exchange, Carson refused to answer Ayanna Pressley's straightforward questions about the implications of housing and urban development's proposed budget cuts. Yes or no is stable. Yes or no is stable and safe housing a social detriment to health? Presley asked. That's a basic fucking question. And then Carson said, "Sounds like you have not been here and heard most of my testimony." So, and then she said, "Please just answer the question, reclaiming my time." And he says, "Yes or no is stable, blah, blah, blah." And then Carson said, "There is no question that housing is an important part of health." Carson said, still dodging. Instead of answering the question, he tried to turn the tables by expressing frustration that Presley was glancing down at prepared notes and told her to ask some more questions yourself and stop reading. And at one point during the grilling, Carson told Presley that he was reclaiming my time, quote unquote. But as Presley pointed out, witnesses at hearings don't get to do that. And it was, okay, well, that I thought was actually the deeper quote, because I watched this happen, and it was just so fucking disrespectful from somebody who clearly does not know what the fuck they're doing. And it's the same exact performance that, Steve Mnuchin, one of Trump's other superstar dickheads over at the Treasury, gave a few weeks ago in Congress, because he's the guy who's been stonewalling and illegally blocking everybody from seeing the president's taxes. And they have no authority to say, no, you cannot see these taxes. Legally, they have to show them their taxes. And so every day, the Department of Justice, the Treasury, every major part of the government is just flat out refusing oversight, legal congressional oversight. They're just not doing it. And so they've the president has been suing in his personal capacity as Donald Trump, not the president, but as Donald Trump, has been suing these different companies like that he's done banking business with in the past from turning over his tax returns. And he's just trying to stall. They're just trying to draw all this shit out, and they're just trying to kick it up into the courts and stuff like that a bunch. And it's honestly like, it's crazy, because there was no way he was going to win it, but he was just thinking, okay, he can keep filing new motions and all this legal jargon, this court bullshit, to kind of just keep the process going and make it go 6 months for, to buy himself some time to come up with a new strategy to destroy more shit, to hand more things over to Russia. And so that actually got fast-tracked late last week. And so the judges, it was like, oh, okay, well, we'll sue, and then we'll take all this shit to court sometime in like June or July, and then we'll drag our feet and shit like that. And then the judges were not having any of that. And so a bunch of he had like 3 different suits going, and 2 of them already have just said, nope, we're going to fast track it. We're going to do it this week, or we're going to do it next week on Tuesday. And so today, another one just came down that said, it's like, yeah, no, there is no case here. You have to turn over your tax returns, you fucking monster. And so that has been going on. And they keep appealing, and it's getting fast tracked through courts, and they're saying, oh, we need a new judge for this shit. And I love that the probably one of the final says on this is going to go to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, which is headed by the man who had the Supreme Court seat stolen from him by Donald Trump, Merrick Garland. And so that was just a fun, just delicious fucking detail from this week that really kept me going for a couple days afterwards is that in these fucking outright criminal times that we're living in, and that the people who, one of the people who has gotten fucked over the most on like the big grand scale, in everything, the most high profile, like the fucking's over, is now in charge of whether the president has to release his tax returns and expose the what is probably what is definitely criminal, but what is also probably pretty concrete evidence of working with a hostile foreign nation to take over the government, which would trigger, very quick, probably impeachment proceedings, which probably, who knows if that actually happened, but he's probably going to go to jail, and the fact that it just got kicked to Merrick Garland was icing on the cake for me.
So this is all good thing.
Well, I mean, none of it's good, but a juicy
Not
piece
all
of
it. But like the fact that, so you think he's actually going to get convicted and go to jail?
Well, maybe. Actually, at this point, no, because I think at this point, if nothing continues to change, which sounds very unlikely, we're looking at another 12 years of a Trump presidency, because if we let him go unchecked, I fully expect him to not concede and to not give up power after this.
So then why do you say 12 years instead of
It's a joke, because 8 years is the full term limits if he got reelected, yeah.
Right, okay, so...
And I don't think he'll live another 12 years, no matter what happens.
He's up there already, right? Like, it's crazy.
He's like
that
75, and he looks like a dumpster fire. Which is crazy. I don't know how he's alive. I'm assuming it's some kind of pickling process through just decades of Big Macs and shit. But it's crazy, man. He cannot have a lot of time left. Like, no way around it. Like, he is an old man who has just treated his body like shit the whole time.
So do you think that he's got somebody who do you think he's going to, like, pass his torch on to? His son? Do you think, like, his son is going to take over and do, his dirty work for him? He's
they're way too incompetent for that shit. No, it's not going to stay in the family.
So it ends with him then. That's it. It ends with him, or who do you think is going to be his?
Donald Jr. is not in jail right now because it was found by the police that he was too stupid to know that what he was doing was a crime. I don't think there's a future of supervillainy for him.
Okay, so then who that's working with him right now, or who do you foresee as being the person who kind of either takes it from where he's going, or do you think by that point, there's
no shortage of absolute monsters in the Republican Party, and any one of them is happy and willing to step up at any point. I mean, if you're looking at Congress, like, I can think of 25 people who just, God, I just wish they were never born, because they are gleefully and actively fucking shit over. And so if it's not Trump, it's another one of these useful idiots, just that Trump happened to be the WWE superstar that would, actually be able to rile up the base in a way that they hadn't been able to do before, and breaking all this shit.
You think they'd be as charismatic, or at least be able to get a bunch of people to, just follow them that way?
Let me tell you this: he is not charismatic. That is not charisma.
Well, okay, it's a power that people have. He just goes
up and rambles incoherently for 2.5 hours. Yeah.
So, but it appeals obviously to a certain part of the population. It definitely appeals to a certain amount of people, and you could say they're stupid, but it still appeals to them. But
well, I mean, I'm seeing more and more shit about people turning on him and stuff like that. Especially with the farmers right now in the trade war, like. He basically screwed over a a shitload of farmers in the South. Like, all those people are. He probably actually has bankrupted them for generations and shit. People have been doing this shit for like, 90 years. Their family all the way through.
Explain what this is all about then.
So he thinks it's a great idea to get into a trade war with China, which, to him means he's going to raise tariffs, which are fees that we would pay to purchase Chinese goods in America.
Right.
He is somehow convinced a lot of these mouth breathers that means China pays him in taxes, and that's not at all how it works, like, at all. And so what's happening is that soybeans specifically, or what has been talked about a lot anyway, he's been putting a tariff on Chinese goods coming in, and so China responded by putting a tariff on things like soybeans. And so now all the soybean farmers in the South, they've been selling to China for, the last 40, 50 years, and they have all these relationships and stuff like that. And now they have gone, months without selling anything. And so they're all, going bankrupt, having to fold the farm, borrow money and shit like that. And even if they did lift this, at this point, if they lifted it now, if they said, okay, we'll get rid of the tariffs, why would the people who have been buying from this other spot for like months now go back to us and start buying from us?
Right.
There's no incentive or reason to do that. And so what he's done is he's actually bailed these farmers out now. So he started this shit. He lost them all their money, and now he is subsidizing their living by just saying, okay, I'm going to just pay you guys a shitload of money. And so he's taking money out of the, of our budget, our tax dollars, and he's paying these people to still vote for him, basically. And it's, it's crazy. And it was just found out this week that like $64 million of the payouts that have been going out have already went to some like corrupt Brazilian farming company that has just like scammed us basically out of like $64 million. And so, for this reason, there's at least been more rumblings of people, and him starting to kind of lose support in a lot of these places that were the stronghold for him, the places where they thought he couldn't do anything because he is actually fucking up their lives in such a noticeable way that they're like, shit, we kind of got to admit that this guy he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing and he has completely fucked us. Yeah.
Well, I hope that that definitely is something that gains more momentum for people to start waking up and realizing, because not gonna lie, that American Horror Story season was kind of getting me scared with just showing how easily influenced and the type of impressions, how impressionable people are. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really.
I mean, and now after seeing in real life stuff that you wouldn't have expected to happen, you're just like, oh, okay, that definitely doesn't seem too as crazy as it sounds.
Well, that mob mentality, that it's it allows you to check your conscience at the door. Just like give it a rest for a little while and just do the most fucking heinous shit. And then you just go all in on this ideology, and it's horrible. Otherwise decent people, just descend into this shit. And we've all seen it. We all know it happens. We all understand how Germany became what it was around the 1938. It's good that we have at least the internet now. We have history to kind of look back on, and we're able to kind of understand these things and process them, a little bit quicker, a little bit easier. And so I'm hoping that is enough to make people realize, hey, we're only ever a couple bad actors and Facebook posts away from authoritarianism. So you just gotta keep on your toes and not take any of this shit for granted that we're doing here, this democracy thing we got going on. But anyways, I think that is a good way to wrap up that for this week. So you got you got Art in the Park actually moved, right?
Yeah, so it's supposed to be this weekend now because we had to cancel or postpone, I should say, until this weekend due to the rain, and it's forecasted to rain again, unfortunately. However, we're just going to kind of ride it out and wait to see how it goes. So if you're planning on coming, just, stay on the lookout. The forecast just seemed to be changing. We've been getting some rain here. It's, one day it says it's going to rain, the other day it doesn't, and we never know. It's California. It's crazy. So, are in the park. If it doesn't rain, come out. We're going to have a flow day. It's going to be awesome. What else we got coming up soon? I know on June 14th, I've got an event with B-Sides. I'm doing another collaboration with B-Side LA. They're going to be doing the Unst Decompression party. It's going to be fun. And then, of course, we got another Mutate coming up. So stay tuned for more details on that later. But I think that's all I've got.
Right on, man. Well, while you're at it, do not forget to subscribe to us. That's right, us. You get all of this magic, all of this deliciousness right in your ear. I promise we will never talk about Game of Thrones again. So go tell everybody that you know to come check us out.
Yeah.
Give us a listen, all right? This is some decent quality stuff. I give the show a solid B minus. And you know what? In a world where Netflix greenlights things like It's Bruno, I think we deserve a seat at the table. You know what I mean? And so check us out on social media. That is at Let It Bleedcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And you can also find myself at Nobody Cares Phil on Instagram and at Phil Nobody Cares on Twitter.
For real though, let's make our own It's Bruno. I'm inspired now.
We could. Literally, we could.
That's what I'm saying. No more playing. Let's get on it.
We've got enough people and dogs to make
I've got stories.
A show which I think would be better. But anyways,
we can do it. I believe in us. Anyways, so all you guys, get out there, make your It's Bruno. It's Bruno. Do your thing. Don't be afraid. Don't shy away from the stuff that you're passionate about, from living your dreams. No matter how busy you are, you got to make time to do what you love.
If
no
they
matter
can
how
do it, you can do it too.
Yeah, no matter how fucked up this world gets, you still have to take care of yourself too, and be able to, keep your mind healthy, keep yourself, living and doing good things so that, other people can also follow from your example. So, stay active, stay positive, and stay creative and imaginative, and keep doing shit. So, that's all. Yeah. And always, as always, sorry, I'm fucking high as shit. Let it bleed.